Okay, Cashify tried to call me on this idea of natural, everything's natural, yeah, yeah, yeah. Listen, terms have different meanings. We know there's this idea of natural as measuring the impact of man's intentionality on the universe so we can do some data processing and correct for man's influence, try to get an idea of how things work if man doesn't pump up and amplify some aspect. Yes, man amplifies natural aspects, but that amplification is what we're trying to measure and account for. Okay, so, but he used also an example of elitism and like looking down on elitism, being elitist about being better than elitists. And I really, my take on stuff like that is multifold. But firstly, I believe philosophy is about living, and there's no way I'm going to give into something like that. Like I can't judge elitists. I can't judge people that are judgmental, or I can't judge people that are bigots because that makes me bigoted against bigots. You know, forget that wordplay. That's not how the world works. Just because you can make little loops in language, screw that. You can break down the situation into action. What you've got to do. What with up you cannot put. You know. But I will admit there's an elitist element to this because I'm saying that that landmark form, for example, is snake oil to my version. What I have is more like medicine, or what I value more highly is more like medicine. And there's snake oil. Yeah, so there's an elitist aspect to that. So what? I don't care. You could characterize it as elitist. The point to me is I'm not doing it so I can be elitist. I'm doing it because I experienced it, and this stuff is crap, okay? And they're shoveling crap, and it can be done better, and you could have their system and their beliefs and their, the ends of what they teach justifiable. But it'd just be boring. It wouldn't captivate people unless they depressed you into this point where you were hypersensitive for inspiration or pseudo inspiration until you accept these kindergarten lessons as shining lights that outshine all the millions of other cool little lessons that you could learn in life. And I judge it. I judge it, and I think it's crap. I think it's low watt mind control. It's low watt philosophy. It's low watt psychology. It's simplifications that you can justify based on the idea. Oh, people need simplifications. Well, good for them. But I find them pretty poor and gross simplifications. And when mixed with the low out mind control, I find it something that I do not have to forgive. It does not have to be forgivable. I don't have to consider that like forgivable and it's all, we all have our own thing. Perfectly natural if you want to go transform in 3 days. Yeah, in the broadest sense of everything is natural. But in the sense of how will you transform if you just live your life in as healthy a way as possible? Okay, I can make those comparisons. I will. And in fact, it makes me want to do so more because I've left that stuff alone. Like, oh, to each his own, but screw that. No, that is screwed up stuff. It was not okay that people were selling snake oil all around. Yeah, some of them, some of the snake oil became Coca-Cola. We all loved it. They had to take the Coke out. Some of it might be okay, but the phenomena, it was good we cleaned it up. We need to clean up the philosophical snake oil too. And because ultimately, how are we going to get politics to be logical and properly analytic? You know, we're going to have to clean up something. And you see that politics is a symptom of the people. So cleaning up politics is something that's great, but it's tilting windmills to a certain degree, and you can only do so much. You have to work within the system a certain way. I mean, I don't want to discourage people. For some people, they're really good at it and they can use the system as is. But for those that are like, what, it's totally screwed up, you can't get anywhere, and it's tilting in windmills for me, we need to go clean up the society. And it's ironic to me that people that want to transform themselves have to go to this fucking bullshit and pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars to be taught a bunch of bullshit when they could have 3 days of introspection guided in a more honest tradition, of which there are plenty, not even just skepticism by any means, of course. There's traditions aplenty that are honest, okay, in some sense or another. I like skepticism because I think it's open-minded to whatever your personal philosophy is. It's relativistic, and, okay, so I think it's something that the tools you can apply to whatever your natural inclinations are. But that's just me. There's plenty of systems that are general like that. There's plenty of systems that aren't so general, but it'll be a fit for you, that are honest, that are don't play mind tricks on you, to sensitize you, and to and desensitize you and just manipulate you at your primal levels of you fear the world or they fear you, ha ha, you're strong, you're winning, you're losing, you're just reducing everything to the pettiest, of concepts so that it can all be summed up really quickly in a way that, yeah, if you go once, it could be an inspiration because you're gonna still be, you're inspired and you end up applying your own philosophy. If you go and really train yourself in that way of thinking, I believe you end up in it like an emotionless zombie that can put his emotions over here. Everything's fine till you freak out on Oprah one day or marry some superstar's daughter or some crazy thing. Okay, well, okay, obscure reference. All right.